Matt Kuo, our head of product, is going to come up and he's going to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that we've done over the past year, but more importantly, talk to you about what's coming next, some of which is coming today. And it's really been based on the feedback from those of you in the room and your organizations. And so your input is very important to us. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Matt Kuo, VP of Product.
Hey everyone, how are you doing? I know I've got you right before lunch, so hang in there, I'll make it quick. For those of you that I haven't met yet, my name is Matt Kuo. I lead the product management team here at Urjanet. And I've been here for about 1.5 years now, and it's been an extremely interesting journey to really see not only our own employees that are so passionate about utility data, but to really see a sea change in the market around other industries like the financial services industry really wanting to leverage this valuable utility data for multiple different purposes, which I'll talk about. But it's also great to be back here at Georgia Tech. I'm a Georgia Tech alumni, so do we have any other Georgia Tech grads in here? All right, awesome. So Sanjay talked earlier about our mission, and we really want to be the utility data provider to the world. And what we want to do is we want to provide access to utility data. We want to promote utility data and allow our customers and our partners to leverage it in a way that can make a meaningful impact in the world. And over the past 1.5 years, we've been working extremely hard to put together the foundational components to build a platform that can enable this. And our belief and what we've done and what we've enabled is really an innovation ecosystem around utility data. So we're connecting now our customers and partners to a growing network of global utility connections, all to solve real-world problems and make a meaningful impact. And in order to do this, we've focused and invested a lot in our platform. So we've created the Urjanet Utility Data Platform, which many of you are using today. And we've created a lot of enhancements to that platform, which I'll talk about. But our platform really is a single point of access for all utility data, for all of our global connections, and makes it easy for our users and our customers to gain access to this utility data. And the other thing that we've really honed in on is that we wanted to create one platform with one set of provider connections, but we can enable multiple different use cases. So everything from energy and sustainability, helping with green initiatives, all the way to financial inclusion, using utility data to make credit decisions, and then even further to identity verification and address verification in the e-commerce space. So I feel like almost every day or every week we're approached by some sort of new, interesting use of utility data. And what we've done is we've created a platform now that we can actually take the utility bills and the utility data that we collect and be able to slice and dice that up and target it at a specific solution or use case. So one of the things we've spent a ton of time on over the past year, and I know a lot of our employees have been involved in all of these efforts, but we take security and privacy extremely important at Urjanet. And especially because we are now working with financial institutions and payment processors and payment providers, having our data, having the credentials that we use to access this data secure at all times, and having everything private is very, very important to us. So how many of you have heard about GDPR? There you go. So extremely important. The regulations went into effect, I think it was May of last year. And what we did is we've actually taken all the necessary steps to be as closely GDPR compliant as you can be without, there's no kind of check mark or self-certification, but we have all the processes and procedures in place now in our platform as well as across our organization to make sure that we can comply with GDPR requests as we are processing data out of the EU. And as Sanjay mentioned earlier, we just obtained our SOC 2 Type 1 attestation. We had a press release that went out about that earlier or last week. And what we're really excited about is we are the only provider to achieve this attestation that provides scalable access to utility data. And so that has been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears from many of the employees within Urjanet. I think it's touched every single department of our company, but we're really happy that we've achieved this first certification, and then our Type 2 certification we're going to do on an annual basis after that. In addition, we've also created a lot of capabilities within our organization because we do deal with credentials or username and passwords for accounts. So one of the things we've actually implemented across our organization is an internal password management functionality, where if any of our developers or any of our operations teams ever needs to access a username and password for an account, they're never seeing that password in plain text. It's all accessed through a browser plugin, and it's pretty cool. You actually, you provide kind of the access channel that you need to access, and it takes you directly to that page, and you target the fields, and it will automatically populate those fields. So our employees, if they ever need to access those credentials, they're never touching them and seeing them in plain text. So we're really excited about that as well. And security and privacy, I mean, this is just the beginning for us. So we're going to continue to invest in our platform and ensure that our offerings are secure and compliant. Another big focus area for us has really been around our provider network. And so I think when I joined Urjanet, we were somewhere around 4,500 or 4,000 utility providers, and I think less than about 35 countries. And since then, we are now upwards of over 6,000 utility providers in 47 different countries. We continue to partner with our customers to help us grow that global footprint. And our model has always been that we grow with our customers. And so as they take us into new regions and they take us into new languages, we follow and we build out those new connections rapidly and bring them into our platform. We've also had a focus on adding new types of utilities. So in addition to the electric, water, gas, waste utilities that we have, we've also focused on creating a lot of telco provider connections, because in our research, as you add maybe one or two key telco providers in a country, you're actually gaining a significant chunk of population coverage. So we know that's important for our financial services customers to be able to gain access to that data for credit decisions. And a big part of what we're doing and a big part of how we're changing our platform and how we interact with our customers is all around curating our solutions and curating this data. So you can imagine how complicated it is to understand all the nuances between 6,000 utility providers in different languages and different formats. Well, we take that burden off of you. We've built our provider database that actually houses all of that information. And then for all of these new solutions that we're standing up, we're researching across our entire database and ensuring that for the credit use case, for example, all the data points that are necessary to make that credit decision are there at that provider, and they can provide that consistently. If that provider doesn't meet that threshold, we actually don't include it in the provider list for that solution. So we're really combing through all of our providers and ensuring that you're getting the data you need every single time you make a request. And all of this information, I mentioned that before, all this information is in our provider database, and that is integrated across our platform now. So each of these new solutions and experiences that you'll see, this is powered by our provider database. There we go. And so this curation of our providers and the curation of the solutions, that actually started last year for us. And we were really excited because we were working really hard to kind of launch 3 new offerings or 3 new solutions in new markets for Urjanet. We started with our solar solution, and what we did there was we actually created on-demand access to user permission data, where a solar installer, as they're putting together a proposal to install a solar panel at my house, for example, typically they would ask for my zip code, where they'd have my address and they would look up my zip code and look for average electric rates in my area, or they'd ask me to go find a paper bill, and I would provide them probably the latest one if I even had one. And so you can imagine trying to put an ROI and a proposal together with kind of averages in a region isn't going to give you that accurate proposal or ROI analysis. And what we've done with our solution here is we are now giving them the ability to extend a web application to their end user where they can link their utility account. Urjanet automatically goes and gets 12 months of history and provides the data points that they need to actually calculate that ROI down to the penny. And so we're really excited about that. We're really excited about working with solar installers to really drive renewable energy into the marketplace. And then in October of last year, we had a very big launch of our credit and identity verification solutions at Money 2020 in Las Vegas. And what we did with these solutions, and I can talk about credit risk decisioning first, is this was really an effort to, again, kind of provide on-demand user permission access to utility data, this time for the purposes of making a credit decision. So you can imagine a scenario where maybe someone is applying for a loan online and they may not have a traditional credit score. I always like to tell the story. I had a friend who moved from Australia and had great credit in Australia, came to the US, couldn't get a car loan. And it's because he had no traditional credit history here in the US. And what we always like to say is that utility data crosses borders. So if a lender, for example, if that auto lender was able to accept linking a utility account from Australia and showing positive payment history over the past 12 months, he would have been able potentially to be qualified for a loan. And so that's what we're enabling with this solution, is that on-demand access to utility data for the purposes of making a credit decision. And then for identity verification, that's where it's really interesting. Personally, I had the aha moment when I moved from California to Georgia and I had to change my driver's license. They said, come down to the DMV, and what two forms of identity did they want from me? Does anybody know? Yeah, they wanted my California driver's license and a copy of my utility bill to establish residency here in Georgia. And so that's just one example of our offering for identity verification, where we're able to provide the name and the address off of the utility bill in an on-demand fashion to make these kind of decisions. We're starting to work with identity verification service providers who are then providing these identity verification services for a multitude of different areas, everything from online gambling to the sharing economy, but really, again, with utility data, it's a great way to prove residency of an applicant. And one of the things that we really made an emphasis on with this is, as we are creating these data sets that are targeted at a specific solution, so for the credit risk decision, those data points are things like the name, the address, account number, how much is due, what's the due date, as well as what were the recent payments and what the recent payment dates. And when we did our research within our own provider database, what we noticed is that about 60% of our providers did not actually have the recent payment date and the recent payment amount on the utility bill itself. That was actually found on a payment history page in the utility provider portal. So we've now enhanced our platform, and what we do is we define the data set, and then we look for it everywhere on the bill, and if we can't find it on the bill, we'll actually go and find it on the utility provider site. Take those data points, unify that back into a single data stream for our customers. And so with each of our new solutions, that's what we're doing. We're evaluating our entire utility provider database, making sure that all those data points are available. If they're not available, that utility provider is not supported for that solution, but it could be supported for something else. Okay, and so with the addition of these solutions, we have really grown further than our traditional energy and sustainability solutions. And we're really excited about that because we really truly believe that utility data can make a meaningful impact in the world, everything from green initiatives to financial inclusion as well as identity verification. And we're continuing to evaluate these new solutions, going through that same kind of research process that I was talking about before. But in addition to creating the new solutions, Sarah kind of mentioned this before, we really want to make it easier to use our platform and to get access to utility data. And so over the past year, we've really focused on the end user. And for many of you who have been longtime customers for us, the process of actually onboarding a utility account isn't as simple as it could be. And we acknowledge that, we know that, and what we're doing is we're fixing that. And so we have a capability now called Urjanet Connect, and what that is it's a Urjanet-hosted web application whose sole purpose is to make it easy for an end user to connect their utility account. We've also removed a lot of the barriers to linking a utility account. So with Urjanet Connect, as well as some of the new offerings that we have, you no longer necessarily have to submit an expected account list. We can actually take the credential only and then go and find all the accounts behind the credential, make that available to you, and then you tell us what you want. But with Urjanet Connect, we're excited about that because this is a super easy and intuitive way to link a utility account with Urjanet for us to start to collect data. On the flip side, we have Urjanet Console now. So Urjanet Console is our next iteration, I guess, of portal for many of you ENS customers. So with Console, not only are you able to manage and view the requests that we have in the system, but you're also, for the first time, able to actually view the data that we're extracting from the bill, get a copy of the bill itself all from this web interface, and then download all of that data into a flat CSV file. So again, we've really focused on making it easy to link accounts and then get data from our system. And all of this is supported by our APIs. So everything that we provide, you can also integrate directly with our APIs. And yeah, so I kind of alluded to this, but we've also focused on making it simpler to integrate with us. So we have our traditional SQL and CSV delivery files. And what's new is that we are now providing API access not only to enroll your accounts, but to actually get data from. And so over the past year, I've met with many of our customers as well as prospects, and this is definitely something that everybody seems very excited about. This really enables you to integrate Urjanet directly into your backend system. Instead of us pushing data to you, you can pull data from us when it's ready. And then the flexible data access has been probably the biggest change for us. So again, for the customers who've been with us for many years, you're used to our standard batch delivery files. For some of you, we deliver once or twice a day, and you get this file, you ingest it, and then you work with the data. Now we also have a new model, which is on demand. So as we went into the financial services market, you know, having an applicant sit there for a day to wait for an approval process wasn't feasible. So for us to be able to really truly play in that market, we had to create this on-demand access to utility data that can return data within minutes. And what we're really excited about is that we have sunk a lot of engineering effort into our platform, and we're able to really provide these data sets, some of these simpler data sets, within minutes, sometimes seconds. And I'll show you a little bit of some of the power of what we can do. But all of this culminates, again, in our Urjanet Utility Data Platform. And so with all of these capabilities and all of these enhancements, what we want to do is just make it simple for our end users and customers. And so we're bringing all of these capabilities. We started in some certain markets, and now what we're doing is we're taking those and rolling it out across our entire solution portfolio so that when you come to Urjanet, it's a simple, easy, consistent experience, and you choose the data you need, when you need it, and then you can solve your problems with that. And what I'm really excited to announce is that for our FinServe customers and our IDV customers, this is familiar to you. It may not be that exciting, but for our energy sustainability customers, we're bringing Urjanet Connect to you. And so this is where you can actually start to leverage this secure and easy-to-use interface to link utility accounts. And we've seen some of our customers start to use this in very innovative ways, but really what we wanted to do is enable a way for you to kind of distribute that collection process of utility provider credentials. And with Urjanet Connect, you can do exactly that. And there's 3 simple ways to work with Urjanet Connect. The first way is that for each of our customers, you actually get a unique URL to Urjanet Connect. Some of our customers, what they're doing is they might have locations across the world, and they don't want to necessarily send emails back and forth and have everybody email in the credentials for their accounts. And what they're doing instead is they're sending the link out to Urjanet Connect. It goes out to all of their locations. The people in the local region who know the credentials are entering them directly into our secure platform, and then Urjanet can start to collect that data. Another option that we have is actually embedding this within your application. So not only do you get a unique URL for our Urjanet hosted version of Urjanet Connect, you also get iframe code where you can embed that directly within your web application and render that card in the middle. And so some of our customers, again, are integrating this directly into their applications, and in many cases, they're actually having their end user enroll and onboard their utility account on their behalf. And so with Urjanet Connect, you can do that as well. And then the final method is with our API. So many of you are integrated with our APIs now to kind of embed that within your application and have the end users onboard their accounts. We still have that, none of that changes. But let me show you how easy it is to link a utility account with Urjanet, now with Urjanet Connect. So the first thing you'll see here is you pick your utility provider. And as you type, we go ahead and search through our entire provider database and make sure that that provider is there. Once you hit next, you're presented with the exact login requirements for that utility provider. So you can see here it's username and password. It's pretty simple. We've also built in a consent mechanism here so that if you have a terms of service and privacy policy that you want your end user to agree to, you can put that in here. It's all configurable. And this is what we're really excited about. For the first time, we're launching real-time credential validation. So what you're seeing here is in real time, as a user submits their credentials, we're checking these and we're keeping the user there on the screen. So you can see those credentials were not correct. We've now punted the user back to the login page and we're asking them to re-enter their username and password. What we also have at the bottom of the page there is a link to the actual utility provider site where they could go and reset their password. And so this time, a correct password has been put in. You hit submit, real-time credential validation again kicks off and is going and validating that credential at the utility provider site. And as you can see, this time it was successful. And so that is really how easy it is to link an account with Urjanet now, with Urjanet Connect. And not only have we invested a lot of time in terms of making it simple and easy, but that real-time credential validation, we believe is a game changer because a lot of what you all work on, a lot of what we work on as well, is really managing invalid credentials. So we believe with this capability, we're going to dramatically reduce that effort for you and really improve connection rates going forward. And that is available today, and it's available to all of our customers, and it is 100% free. So we're super excited about that, and if you want to start using it, you can reach out to your Urjanet PM and we'll get you set up, and we'll set up a training session with you, and you can start to leverage this capability. But this is a big effort from our engineering team, from our customer support team, from all of us, because we know that that process is one that could use a little improvement. And so we've invested a lot of time, money, and effort to making a super easy, simple, streamlined, and secure interface to actually submit credentials. And this is one of many rollouts that you'll see from Urjanet with these new capabilities that will go out to our entire solution set. So we have a ton more in store. So that was just one of the new things that we had. But as Sanjay alluded to and Sarah also talked about, we're working on new solutions and new spaces, one of which is an AP automation solution. So Michael told us the story about AvidXchange, and we're really excited to be partnering with them and working with them on a new solution here as well. But with this new AP automation solution, we're bringing some capabilities that our on-demand platform has not historically had. And one of those things really will help the FinServe market. So with our on-demand platform currently, we can go and get 12 months of utility payment history immediately or on demand. What we did not have the capability of doing is to actually give you that next bill as it's made available. And that was something that we heard from a lot of our FinServe customers. And so the other thing we're working on is to actually enable that recurring bill delivery, because what that'll do is actually enable not only financial services customers to make that initial credit decision, but also monitor credit. And one of the interesting things that I've heard from one of our customers is that, when your utility bill is not paid, that's probably a really bad indication, and you probably know you're going to default on that loan, or that end user is going to default on that loan. So we're enabling that credit monitoring capability as well. And does everyone know what multi-factor authentication is? Has anybody been hampered by that before? Okay, so we know that that's a really big and key piece of continuing to have access to a lot of our utility providers. So we are starting to see more utility providers include some sort of multi-factor authentication. In many cases, it's that one-time password. So you log in, you get that pop-up that says, hey, please enter in that code that was just sent to your email address or your mobile number. And then you can continue and go where you need to go. So what we're working on next is actually enabling that functionality. So imagine Urjanet Connect, where you pick your provider, you enter in that username and password, and then we also present a message. Hey, can you send us that code or type in that code that was just sent to your email address or your mobile number? And so with that, we can continue to access data. And for many of the providers that we don't support, with the addition of this capability, we'll be able to support them going forward. We also have a pretty robust roadmap in terms of other things we're working on in that space. Google CAPTCHA is one where you might have a picture and there's some fuzzy numbers. We believe we might be able to have a solution for that. But Google reCAPTCHA is probably one we're not going to be able to solve. We'll probably have to work with the utility provider to have that direct connection. So in addition to the expansion of our provider network and multi-factor authentication, I mentioned a little bit before, but we're really expanding our data API. So right now you can get data from our API for the solar, credit, and identity verification solutions. Those are simpler data sets, more summary level from a usage perspective, and more payment related. We are expanding our portfolio over the next year to also include very robust data so that energy management use cases, sustainability use cases, you can get that robust data set that you get from our SQL delivery file, all from our API as well, and integrate that directly into your system. And then with console, so that the easy and intuitive interface where you can go and actually view requests and download data, we're also bringing that to energy and sustainability. So right now, we do not have a way for you to actually go and view data from a portal. It's all a data delivery file. We're bringing that simplicity now to the energy and sustainability space. And those of you who use interval data, who is an interval data customer in here? Anybody? All right. So I'm really excited about this because we are basically going to completely rebuild our interval data product. And with this investment from our company, what we're doing is that same kind of ease of use with Urjanet Connect and Console. We're going to make it easy for you to onboard interval data accounts. We're looking at ways where if you give us a utility credential, we can go and look and find interval data that you may not know is there. And then we're also going to give you a nice, simple, intuitive user interface to manage your interval data inventory and actually view and download data as well. So stick with us. It's a big project for us, but we're really excited about interval data. We believe it really is the future for powering many solutions. And with that, again, Sarah kind of mentioned this, but we'd love to get feedback. And if you haven't stopped by the booth outside, Brian is doing usability testing. So we are on the last few stages of our AP automation solution, and he wants to run anyone who is willing to give us some feedback on the usability of the new console as well as Connect for our AP automation solution. And with that, I will take any questions that you have.
Great. So something that I think it kind of pops in my head as you're talking through all this. By the way, I think those are all welcome changes. I think I can probably speak for the room. So it's good stuff. But right now you're focused on B2B, type transactions, right? We're all in industry of some sort, and that's who you're aiming this product at. And I can't help but think that as a consumer, an individual consumer, this type of platform would be interesting. I'm not going to pay for 500 accounts, but I might pay for 5. Mm-hmm. And right now, your pricing structure, your tiers aren't set up for something that's small, of a proprietor of a small business, something like that. I have 1 or 2 sites. Is that in the future for Urjanet?
So a lot of what we're doing with our platform and kind of tailoring our data sets and reducing the data sets and making it easier to use, a lot of it is so that we can scale our business. I'm not necessarily going to say that we will have a direct-to-consumer play because if in many ways that's who we partner with. Our partners potentially have direct-to-consumer plays. But what we do want to do is be as efficient as possible around acquiring this data, processing it, and then providing it to our customers. And with our new platform, we're actually in a position to do that